Liberals thought passing this $9 billion spending bill to help students would be easy. Well, they got another surprise today. Opposition leaders Andrew Scheer, Jagmeet Singh, and Mr. Blanchet from the Bloc criticized the bill, demanding an array of changes. And it looks like they've got them. Well, at least some of them. Now, remember, the NDP demanded that emergency student benefit should be expanded to include students who have kids, who have dependents. So where are we now? And what else could there be? And should the government support the CFL? They want $150 million. Let's find out. Joining us now is the Heritage Minister, Steven Guilbeault. Minister Guilbeault, great to have you on the program. Hope you and your loved ones are well. Can you tell us exactly what happened here?
Evan. Thank you.
The NDP wanted changes to give students not just $1,750 if they have dependents, but $2,000, the same as the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit. Why did the Liberals decide to change that?
Well, I mean, I think that the purpose of what we're doing is to try and work together. The bills that we are adopting in this time of crisis, they have to be adopted unanimously. So we are working together. We've put forward a number of proposals, but these proposals have been amended and in many cases bona fide by proposals from our opposition parties.
Okay, but one of the criticism that Mr. Singh, and he'll join us in a minute, has done, Minister, is he said that there's just a two-tier system, that, you know, students are getting $1,750, others are getting $2,000. His argument is, why the complexity? Make $2,000, just give it to the students, give it to the workers, give it to everybody. What about that?
What we've tried to do so far is to help as many Canadians as we could who needed our help. The idea is not necessarily to give help to people who don't need it. I think our measures are working pretty well. More than 6.5 million Canadians have subscribed to the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit, and the vast majority of them have started receiving money. That's a program that did not exist 6 weeks ago. Same thing with the wage subsidy. As of this Monday, small, medium-sized businesses and larger ones, not-for-profit organization, can apply for it. So we are doing a lot of things, and we have. It's an unprecedented. I mean, we're writing the book as we're going. We don't. Unfortunately, there's no.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. With this change now, instead of $1,750. Now some of these students, post-secondary students, will get $2,000. But the program was about $9.5 billion. With this change, do you have to recalculate? Do you know what the new cost of the program will be?
We will have, obviously, to evaluate the cost of the program. I don't have those numbers, and they weren't presented today in the House. We will make them public, obviously, but I don't have them as of yet.
Minister, the Prime Minister today signaled that the government may use digital tools, apps, to track COVID-19 infections in Canada once we get to the tracking and tracing. There's real concerns about privacy issues. What type of apps and data collection methods are on the table? Has your government spoken to any companies about this?
As you may know, Evan, the last book I published before coming into politics looked specifically at technologies and issues of privacy. So it's something that I feel very strongly about. And this is something that our governments feel very strongly about. So we've had conversations with a number of companies. We haven't made any decision. We are looking at what are the possibilities. Should we decide to go ahead with something like that, it would have to meet Canadians' high standard for privacy and ethical use of those technologies.
Okay, but have you spoken? Has the government started to strike any deals with any companies? Just give us a sense. Listen, we all want to get back to work. Everybody recognizes there's a need to track and trace, but nobody wants their civil liberties infringed upon and their privacy has to be protected. How far along are you on this?
I totally agree with you. I mean, where do we find the balance? Where are the boundaries? People have to realize that many of those technologies aren't as efficient as we would like them to be. The preciseness of those technologies can vary by meters. So if you're trying to figure out if you've come close to someone who has been diagnosed with COVID-19, but the margin of error of your app is several meters, you can't imagine how inefficient such a system would be. So there are technological issues on the one hand, but there are also ethical and privacy issues on the other hand. We are looking at what the possibilities are, but no decisions have been made as of now.
The only reason I'm pressing you, Minister, is that the provinces are opening up. You got the plan for Manitoba today. You've got Ontario, Quebec, PEI, New Brunswick. The provinces are BC. They're all talking about a staggered reopening at some point. You guys got to get a move on this. How soon will we get details on that?
Well, the first thing to say is that provinces, territories, and the federal government are working together on this. That there was a federal, provincial, territorial premiers with the Prime Minister conference last night. They all agreed that this needed to be done in an organized fashion. So that's the first thing. And maybe technology can help us, but we're not sure. We are looking into it actively. People are looking at the possibilities, but as I said, no decision has been made yet. All
right. The Prime Minister said that they're thinking of your government is considering a CFL request for a $150 million aid package for the league. Now, I know there was already $500 million for arts and sports. I'd asked Bill Morneau about it. He was saying that a lot of these leagues already can apply for the wage subsidy. Is your government willing to consider the CFL request? And if so, are other professional leagues also on the table for this kind of aid?
Three things I'd like to say. First, I'm the minister responsible for amateur sports. So the federal government doesn't fund professional sports in Canada. Second thing, I'm a big fan of the CFL. My son and I have season ticket to the best team in Canada, which is obviously the Montreal Alouettes. Third thing, what the Prime Minister has said is that we were looking at their requests just like we're looking at the request of other industries, of other sectors of the Canadian economy that are severely impacted by the COVID-19 crisis.
So okay, I know you're a fan. So let me just ask you: will your government consider funding professional leagues like the CFL, soccer, hockey? Are those on the table?
We don't fund professional sports in normal circumstances. Obviously, these are not normal circumstances. We are looking at the requests of many different industrial sectors of our economy in Canada. We could talk about aviation. We could talk about a whole bunch of different sectors. We are looking at them and looking at, is it possible for the government to help them? And if so, how and how much? Okay. A decision hasn't been made.
I get aviation. I'm going to press you one last time. You're saying it's on the table to give aid to the CFL. That is not something you guys are ruling out, just to be clear.
Well, we're studying it, but no decision has been made.
All right, Minister, I really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Evan. Always a pleasure.